What up, everybody? It's the Rottweiler Patriots. I'm Vegas.
And I'm T-Bone.
And we're coming at you with another video today where we're going to discuss who we think is going to win each matchup in Week 6. Last week, there were 14 games played and 4 teams on a bye. I went 8-6, and my counterpart here, T-Bone, went 7-7, so that's going to bring my tally up to 52-26, and his tally up to 49-29, so my lead increases by 1 game at this moment. I am up by 3 games. We are going to be competing over the course of the entire NFL season. Feel free to compete along with us. Post how you think you did in the comments. And we'll get right into this one, starting off with the 2 teams this week who are on a bye. Only 2 this week. The Green Bay Packers and Pittsburgh Steelers, members of Super Bowl 45, will not be playing NFL football in Week 6, which means there are 15 games being played, starting on Thursday night with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs coming off of a bit of a tight win against the Minnesota Vikings, a little closer than they would have liked, took a little bit of help from the refs, but Chiefs are still 4-1 and still playing some pretty good football overall, whereas the Broncos, coming off of a disappointing loss to the Jets, where they were trying to drive to tie or win the game, fumbled the ball, scoop and score, ended the game right there. Their season has not gone the way they would have liked at all. T-Bone, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, this feels like it's going to be a one-sided matchup, just a punch down. I am scared for the Broncos. How they did against the Dolphins versus now, and the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs have had a couple of close call wins, but this is the Chiefs we're talking about. I've got the Chiefs all the way, and it's not close.
I got the Chiefs winning this one as well. They're the better team, and they've kind of owned the Broncos recently, so I don't think there'll be many surprises here. Alrighty, up next, we've got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Baltimore Ravens in London. The 3rd week in a row with a London game. The Titans coming off of a tough loss to the Indianapolis Colts, where they just didn't look like they were at their best. Division games, always weird. They've been very weird and inconsistent this year. You really never know where you're going to get out of them week to week, whereas the Ravens, coming off of a tough loss against a division opponent of their own in the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they just could not catch balls to save their lives. And if they'd caught even one of them, they probably could have won that game. So, tough loss for both teams in the division, both looking to bounce back over in London. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Thanks, Vegas. I mean, really, that is 7 dropped passes on Baltimore's receivers. That's ridiculous. That being said, there's a clear skill difference between the Titans and the Ravens. Despite the Ravens' disappointing loss, I still have the Ravens handedly beating the Titans in London.
London games can be weird, and games with the Titans, period, can be weird, but I've also got the Ravens winning this one. I think they're the better football team, and I think they're going to be the ones who are able to get their bounce-back win this week. Alrighty, up next, we've got the Miami Dolphins hosting the Carolina Panthers. The Dolphins coming off of a big win over the New York Giants, where they played some efficient football. They're looking like a pretty scary good team this year. Everyone knows it, too. Their offense is hard to stop. Whereas Carolina, coming off of a blowout loss to the Detroit Lions, a game that they were expected to lose, and it went about as well as everyone expected, outclassed by a much better football team. The Panthers, the only team without a win this week, and expected to remain without one. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Yeah, not much there. I mean, really. Of course, it's going to be a Dolphins win. That or it's going to be like the Colts last year, but no. It's a loss for the Panthers.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are definitely going to win this one as well. Alrighty, up next, we've got the Houston Texans hosting the New Orleans Saints. The Texans coming off of a last-second field goal loss to the Atlanta Falcons, a game that they were disappointed to lose in. Definitely got some questions for them there, but overall they've been a solid team, better than anyone expected. CJ Stroud playing very good football as a rookie. He's doing quite well in there, whereas the Saints coming off of a comfortable 34-0 victory over the New England Patriots, where they just looked completely better and were able to generate enough pressure to force New England into mistakes that they couldn't come back from. Defense played really, really well, and they're going to need another big performance if they want to stop CJ Stroud this week. T-Bone, your thoughts?
In this case, while I do think that the Saints are good, I think this was more of the New England just not being able to get it together. And CJ Stroud is really performing well. I mean, he is just exceeding a lot of expectations, and I'm loving it. I think that the Texans are actually going to upset the Saints in this game. So yeah, I've got the Texans.
Yeah, I think the Texans are actually going to pull this one off as well, but I think this has the potential to be a very interesting and entertaining football game. Alrighty. Up next, we've got ourselves the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Washington Commanders. Another game that looks like it has potential to be very interesting and entertaining. The Falcons coming off of the aforementioned last-second field goal win over the Houston Texans. They're playing decent football. They've beaten a couple of decent teams, and, through 5 weeks, they're 3-2. A better start than I think even they expected. So we're still kind of learning who they are. Desmond Ritter's been a bit inconsistent, so we'll see who they are, but so far, not too bad. Whereas the Commanders have played very, very inconsistent football. They're coming off of a Thursday night loss to the Chicago Bears, where they just didn't look that good, especially after they barely lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in overtime. So they've played very, very inconsistent. You never really know which version of them you're going to get from week to week. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that that inconsistency will be the death of them. But in this case, I think the Falcons, and it's going to be inconsistency on inconsistency, because the Falcons really need just some hot and cold from them as well. It's going to be a very hot and cold battle. That being said, I think the Commanders are going to keep it up, and they're going to be hot for this game. And Falcons are going to get cold, and Younghoe Koo cannot lead them to this victory. Even with the Van Jefferson acquirement that the Falcons got, I've got the Commanders in this one, actually.
I have the Atlanta Falcons winning this game. I think the Falcons at home have been the better team, have played better football, and I think they're going to be able to get the job done. Alrighty, up next we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Indianapolis Colts. The Jags coming off of an ugly, ugly win over in London against the Buffalo Bills, where, quite frankly, neither team looks like the better team, but the Jags came out on top. They have played very weird, ugly, and inconsistent football. We don't really know who the Jaguars are yet this year. They still have a lot of questions to ask of themselves, whereas the Colts are coming off of a win over the Tennessee Titans, where they've played some pretty good football, and they've overall looked like the better team. The big concern for them has been Anthony Richardson has had a tough time staying healthy. Gardner Minshew's done more than adequate in the interim, but this one can get very interesting. Jacksonville did win when these two teams met earlier in the season. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Thanks, Vegas. Yeah, so this could be a tough matchup. It could be because of how both teams are playing. I mean, one's exceeding and one's not exceeding expectations at all. And you know me, I am a Minshew Mania fan. I backed up Minshew Mania. That being said, even though it is a Minshew Mania reunion out in Jacksonville, no,
I've got the Jags winning this one. I think it stops here.
I think the Jaguars are going to go 2-0 against the Colts this year and complete their second victory against them. So I think they're the better football team regardless of their underperformances. So Jags got this one. Alrighty, up next we've got ourselves The Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Seattle Seahawks. The Bengals coming off of a much-needed win against the Arizona Cardinals, where their offense finally seemed to wake up and remember that Jamar Chase kind of exists. He had himself quite a good game. They had themselves quite a good game. Still a little concern for them on the defensive side of the ball, but overall the Bengals seem to have found themselves on the right track, whereas the Seattle Seahawks coming off of a bye, they'll be refreshed and ready for this one. And so far, they've been one of the best teams in the NFL through the first 5 weeks of the season. So this one has the potential to be a very exciting matchup. T-Bone, your thoughts?
This is definitely going to be an exciting game. I am very much looking forward to it. The Seahawks are one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm loving it. They got rested. They're off their bye week. That being said, I think the Bengals finally got it. I think the Bengals are over their hump. I think they're getting in it, and I don't think they're going to stop. And I think the Bengals are going to win this one.
I have got the Seattle Seahawks coming away with the win in Cincinnati. I think they're the better team. I think they've played more consistently. That's my big concern with Cincinnati right now, is the lack of consistency from them. And I think Seattle's going to have the formula to be able to stop them, especially given they're going to be well-rested coming off of a bye. Alrighty, up next we've got the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears coming off of their first win of the season against the Washington Commanders, and we would just like to say rest in peace, football legend Dick Butkus. It is our belief that he was the one who powered them to that win on Thursday, a much-needed win for the franchise after going almost an entire year without winning a football game. Whereas the Minnesota Vikings, coming off of a tough loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, where they fell late after feeling correctly slighted by the officials. Definitely some questionable calls made in that game that helped the Chiefs and contributed to their loss. But regardless, both teams have been among the worst teams in all of football through the first 5 weeks of the season. T-Bone, your thoughts?
I completely agree. Really, really not good teams. This may be a battle of the mid. That being said,
Mid is stretching it. Mid is definitely stretching it.
I do think that the Vikings can win this one and will. Though I think it's going to be closer than people think, but I've got the Vikings.
I think the Vikings are going to win this one as well, but this is one that I haven't gotten a great feel for, so this one, quite frankly, I think could go either way. Alrighty, up next we've got the Cleveland Browns hosting the San Francisco 49ers. The Browns coming off of a much-needed bye week after a blowout loss to the Ravens in Week 4. Deshaun Watson still injured. Dorian Thompson-Robinson likely going to be the starter up against the 49ers. Browns have played very inconsistent. Really never know what you're going to get out of them from week to week, where San Francisco have been very consistent, consistently the best team in all of football. All they do is win. Offense, defense, both highly efficient, plowing through good teams, coming off of a massive blowout win over the Dallas Cowboys this past Sunday. They're the big favorites headed into Cleveland this weekend. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, really, if Deshaun's injured, this might just be just a test drive for DTR just to see. I see no world in which Cleveland wins. It's insane. I think it's San Fran all the way, always.
No question about it for me. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be the ones who are able to come away with the win. Alrighty, up next we've got ourselves the Las Vegas Raiders hosting the New England Patriots. The Raiders coming off of a tight win against the Green Bay Packers, where they were able to escape their own incompetency thanks to a late Jordan Love interception. The Raiders have been a very bad and inconsistent football team. Only 2 wins against also bad and inconsistent football teams. it's been an ugly season for them, whereas for the New England Patriots, it hadn't exactly been any prettier, coming off of their second consecutive terrible blowout loss where the offense was not able to produce anything, and there's all kinds of questions looming over this team. So this one, definitely battle of the mid. T-Bone, your thoughts?
I'm surprised you let you say battle of the mid for the Patriots, Vegas, but yes, it is battle of the mid. And really, when you were talking about the Raiders and just what was going on, I was like, that's a weird way to describe the Patriots. But no, I think both teams can be better than they are right now, and both teams are just not doing well. Both teams have a solid defense, and it's just injuries and other things are just dismantling this. I actually have the Raiders upsetting the Patriots on this one and getting back-to-back wins over the Pats in the last two seasons.
I have got New England winning this one, mostly for the sake of my sanity. Although, depending on who you ask, Patriots beating the Raiders might be the upset. ESPN certainly seems to think so. Last year's Raiders game didn't exactly go great for New England at the very end, and I'm hoping that this one does not end in the same horrible, ugly fashion. Alrighty, up next we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Detroit Lions. The Buccaneers coming off of a bye. They're going to be well rested and prepared for this one. And, best of all, they're going to be wearing the creamsicles, baby. Bucs have looked like a pretty good football team so far this year. One of the best in the league, top of their division, playing solid football. Baker Mayfield, career resurgence. Excited to watch them play, whereas the Lions, another team who have proven that they're one of the best in football, coming off of a blowout win against the Buccaneers' division rival, Carolina Panthers. This one looks like it has the potential to be a very exciting matchup, and with the Bucs and the Creamsicles, a very pretty-looking matchup, too. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Both, I agree. Just a cool, powerful matchup, a cool-looking matchup, just a lot of different high-stakes matchups coming from this game. Both teams are very solid. Both teams are doing what they need to do, getting business done. That being said, I do have the Lions winning this one because I think they are more skilled than the Buccaneers by just a bit.
I actually have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting the upset this week. I believe in the power of the Creamsicles. I've seen it. The red throwbacks with Pat Patriot in New England. I think Buccaneer will call upon that power with their throwbacks this week, and they're going to get the upset win in Tampa Bay against the Detroit Lions. But this one has the makings of a great one, that's for sure. Alrighty, up next we've got the Los Angeles Rams hosting the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams coming off of a tough loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Rams have felt kind of inconsistent after a good first couple of weeks. It kind of feels like they've fallen off a little bit. Seemed to get a little more back on it last week against the Eagles, but it's still not been what they've wanted. So they're definitely looking for some sort of bounce back this week, whereas the Cardinals are coming off of a big loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, the game that they were expected to lose but hoping to win. They're playing better than people expected them to, but they're still not a great football team. But this is a divisional matchup, and those can always get weird, as we've said many, many times. T-Bone, your thoughts?
They really can get weird. They're just coming out of left field. But yeah, just because the Cardinals are not the best football team does not mean that they are not playing better than their predictions. They are absolutely overperforming from their predictions, and I, for one, respect it. I appreciate it. I appreciate the grind. That being said, I do have the Rams just because I think they're a more complete team, just have more. Even though Stafford hasn't won the locker room really because he complains about how young these kids are, I still think they've got the win. They do.
I've got the Rams winning this one as well. I think they're the better football team. This game is in Los Angeles, and I think they get the bounce back that they need in this one. Alrighty, coming up next, we've got the New York Jets hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. The Jets coming off of a win against the Denver Broncos where it wasn't pretty, but it got the job done. Their defense stepped up big, especially late in that game. A scoop and score to seal it at the very end. They are a team who we don't really know who they are yet. We know that they have a very strong defense and a lot of pieces on offense, but the big question has been Zach Wilson, and he's shown some improvement the last couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against one of the best defenses in the league in the Philadelphia Eagles, who they are coming off of a win over the Rams, a game where they played Eagles football. Go in, get an ugly win, go out. We don't care. They don't ask how, we ask how many. So this one could be interesting. Both defenses pretty good. T-Bone, your thoughts?
This one definitely could be a very interesting match. I mean, those defenses could clash. And that offense isn't exactly horrible either. I mean, Zach Wilson headband Lacera, man, might just be better than Patrick Mahomes. That being said, I do think that this game is going to be a little bit closer than people think, just because of how sloppy the Eagles have been recently and how much the Jets are trying to claw their way up to the top. That being said, I do have the Eagles winning.
I think the Eagles are going to win this one as well. I have a hard time, even though Zach Wilson's been improving, I have a hard time seeing him find success against this Eagles defense. Alrighty, coming up next, Sunday Night Football, it's gonna be the Buffalo Bills hosting the New York Giants. The Bills coming off of a very ugly loss over in London to the Jacksonville Jaguars, where quite frankly neither team looked like themselves. Trip to London's never easy for anyone to make. They're gonna be looking for a bounce back win this week, and the New York Giants are a perfect opportunity for them to do so. Whereas the Giants are coming off of an ugly loss to the Miami Dolphins where they just didn't look that good. And overall, the Giants haven't looked that good. They have played some sloppy, ugly football, some very poor offensive football. Offensive line, been Swiss cheese, just might as well not exist. Daniel Jones been getting killed back there. He's not been playing his best, so Bills definitely have the advantage in this one. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. It's just that Giants O-line has just not done him any favors. 11 sacks in one game. That's nearly incredible. I can't get over it. But I feel like the Giants are so weak and just such a step back from last year. And the Bills, although a little shaky, I just think this is one of those teams that the Bills are just going to punch out.
Yeah, I agree. The Bills have done a good job of not only beating, but destroying the teams that they should beat, the lesser teams. And the Giants certainly qualify under that, so I've definitely got the Bills winning this one, getting that bounce back win they need. And finally, Monday Night Football, we've got ourselves the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the Dallas Cowboys. The Chargers coming off of a bye. They'll be coming into this one nice and well rested. Beat the Raiders in Week 4 in a game that was a little closer than I think they would have liked. The Chargers overall underperformed this year. Bit underwhelming. Not playing like we're used to seeing them play. Whereas the Cowboys are coming off of a massive blowout loss to the San Francisco 49ers, a game they were expected to lose, but not that badly. They've been good for the most part, but they've also had a couple of blips and played pretty inconsistent. So this one could be interesting, but I do think the Cowboys likely have the advantage. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Hey, Vegas. When was the last time that the Cowboys lost against a team and it really hurt their ego? How bad was the score of the very next game?
It was a pretty big blowout, I would say.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what game you could possibly be talking about, and I can't imagine why you'd be asking me of all people.
I'm sorry, that was a stupid question. There's my answer. If I've been a Chargers defender, I have been. I can't anymore. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult defending this organization. And you know what? I'm done with it. I have no allegiance to them. Rip Justin Herbert. Rip Austin Eckler's career. Rip the rest of Keenan Allen's career. It's done. The Cowboys are just going to smack the booty out of them.
I've got the Cowboys winning this one as well, and you should have been like me, never jumped on the Chargers train to begin with. I grew up watching them destroy Phillip Rivers' career, and that's sad for me as an NC State fan, but it is the reality. Chargers do tend to not way underperform with the talent that they have and ruin great players' careers. I'm kind of hoping Herbert gets out of there, if I'm being honest. But I do think the Cowboys are the better team, and they will get the win this week, a much-needed bounce-back win for them. So, that is the last game. Please leave your thoughts down in the comments. Who do you think is going to win each game? Who do you think is going to win this week between me and T-Bone? Who do you think is going to win over the course of the entire season between me and T-Bone? Any thoughts you have, please be sure to drop them down in the comments below. And that is going to do it for us today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button. Please be sure to subscribe. And we will see you all in the next video.